ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Two Fat Guys Talking Flowers, where we're always going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly about flowers. I'm Fern here with Joelle. We got Mimi in the house. We got Ryan on Zoom. We got Mike in the house. Mike is back. And our awesome, unique, kick-ass, future leader and current leader in SAF Next Gen and SAF is none other than Sam Bowles AAF, General Manager and Creative Director at Allen's Flowers and Plants, San Diego.
Woo! Nice. What an intro.
We got What a Man. We got What a Man here today. What's up, Sam?
I'm still waking up here on the West Coast, but I woke up excited to join what is definitely considered to be the premier podcast of the floral industry. So,
I like that.
Honored to be on with you guys.
Is that the consensus?
Not what? Among me and Nicole, definitely it's the consensus.
I was going to say.
I'm running with it.
Love
We
it.
got the premier floral podcast. I like that.
That's what we'll put on the billboard, right? Premier Floral Podcast.
Yeah,
and then
there you go.
Quotes in the bottom, Sam and Nicole.
Love it. So, Sam, I know it's a little early over there on the West Coast. We're doing a podcast and pancakes, as Mimi said.
Exactly. I've got my espresso though, so 9 a.m. even for anyone in our industry, 9 a.m. is not really that early.
Exactly.
We tend to start our days pretty early in the flower industry.
Should be on my third coffee by 9 a.m. Those are the rules.
Exactly.
So, Sam, you have an awesome background that we want to get into. I didn't know you worked at Nansen Crafts in Kentucky.
Yeah, so I actually started in the flower industry kind of by accident, and not that there aren't people who choose this as their career from the start. I have a few employees who literally they always knew they wanted to work in a flower shop. They went to college and got degrees that specialize in areas that would be helpful for working in a flower shop. So I don't want to discount that there are people who that happens to, but I also find there are a lot of us in the floral industry who look up one day and are like, wow, how did I end up here? And not that that's a bad thing. It's been a very happy accident. But yeah, I started back when I was in grad school at the University of Louisville, and I was working on a master's in English.
I got to interrupt you. He even said it right, because it's not Louisville.
It's Louisville.
It's Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville. Just think Lulvul, Louisville. And a mouthful of gravel. Say it with a mouthful of gravel. Yeah, so I grew up across the river from Louisville, Kentucky, actually, in a very small town in southern Indiana. When I say very small, I mean like 700 people in my town, 699 when I left. And we had one high school in the whole county, no franchise restaurant. Well, that's not true. There was a Subway and a truck stop out by the interstate. So a very, very rural upbringing. And Louisville was the big city that was an hour and a half away. So I was in grad school at the University of Louisville. I had a good family friend, Tim Huckabee, whose name you probably recognize. He's been in the industry for a long time. Tim was a family friend that had nothing to do with flowers. We were just friends. And I've always been a hustler. So even though I was teaching college English in grad school, like most grad students, I could use some extra dough. And he said, I have a client in Louisville, Nansen Craft, and they could definitely use some help for Valentine's Day. So I actually started at Nansen Craft probably, I don't remember exactly, but probably like on February 3rd. It was definitely right before Valentine's Day.
Nice.
And right from the start, I was doing phone sales. And one thing led to another. Yeah.
Were you good off the gate? Were you good on the phone right away?
I don't want to brag about myself, but my mother and my grandmothers always said I could sell ice to an Eskimo, and this was my first actual sales job to see if the proof was in the pudding. And let's just say the proof was in the pudding. I found it very, very easy. When you think of sales, selling flowers to a man that's desperate for love and affection or in the doghouse or whatever, it's a pretty easy sales mark most of the time, honestly. So
he said sales mark.
I instantly loved it.
But on top of that, if you had a family friend like Tim Huckabee, you weren't going in with blind eyes. You knew how to sell because, Tim didn't give you, I'm sure he gave you some pointers right away. Because Tim did a floral boot camp for our sales team, my sales team in Kreisel, and he's just amazing. Like the way that he makes you think about selling is on point. Like you're always upselling with him.
The thing I noticed about Sam the first time I watched him speak at SAF, it was a couple years ago only. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, he could fucking talk.
Mm-hmm.
He could just, he doesn't need any notes. It's all in his mind. And you don't learn that. There's no school for that.
Right.
He's
You're born
got
with
a
it.
gift of gab.
Yeah.
That,
That's usually Mike. That's usually what the teacher said at my parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah.
Man, he can fucking talk.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I can believe it.
Great student. Loves to talk.
Yeah, exactly. And
So-
Mimi, you definitely hit the nail on the head. Tim, when he hooked me up with the job, he sent me like more of his webinars than I had time to watch, but it definitely took my natural sales instincts and gave me the floral language for it pretty much immediately, which did give me a lot of confidence. And funny enough, Nance and Craft was actually kind of using a different sales consultant at the time. They had worked with Tim, and not because they didn't like him, but just because they thought they would do something fresh. They were working with this different person. And as a fun experiment, the Craft brothers were like, you do it Tim's way, and let's just see what happens. And whether it was Tim's way or me or a combination, after a couple of months, they actually, Tim's way was working better. Let's just put it that way.
So hold on. Let's go back to that. What were you studying in college at that time?
Yeah, so my undergraduate degree was in English, and I always wanted to teach. I thought high school English, so I have taught middle school, high school, and then taught college English while I was in grad school at the University of Louisville. My fun University of Louisville story is my second semester of teaching English 102. One of my two sections had 26 students, and 18 of the 26 were every single freshman baseball player on the Louisville baseball team, because they heard that I was a professor who wasn't like just against athletes just to be against athletes. 3 of those students are now active MLB players.
Nice.
And the most successful of them is actually the Dodgers catcher, Will Smith,
Wow.
who was my student, who just signed a 10-year, $160 million contract with the Dodgers.
Nice.
I don't think he still remembers Mr. Bowles, but I did go to his first bobblehead night, and I got his first bobblehead, talked to his wife. So that's been a fun thing. I don't love the Dodgers as a Padres fan, but I have a hard time not rooting for my students.
That is pretty
That's awesome.
awesome. So how long did you work at Nance and Craft, and what was next after that?
Yeah, so I was at Nance and Craft for the 2 years I was in grad school. I kind of became a right-hand man to the general manager there. I never got any kind of title, but I was kind of helping her run the call center. It's a pretty big business, so big enough that there was a team of us upstairs who were answering the phones separate from the designers and retail team downstairs. So a lot of great experience. And then I just wanted to move to New York City for no other reason than I wanted to live there. Like it was going to happen no matter what. So I finished my master's degree in English. I was looking for teaching jobs. I was just looking for a way to go to New York. And once again, having Tim as a friend was beneficial. And he said, well, it just so happens I have a client in New York that's looking for someone to be an operations manager for his retail business. And so it was another stepping stone. So I moved to New York, actually managing a shop in Whitestone, Queens, QG Floral, which our friend Carly now works there. And had a great time.
Floral. Is that
Queens Garden.
Queens
It
Garden
used to-
Center?
Yep, exactly.
Sal?
Sal Zuccarello.
Oh, I
Sal
know Sal.
Zuccarello, his son Peter. I worked with Peter, his son, exactly.
This is a Sal from a Queens Garden Center. Yeah, I know
Exactly.
Sal.
My youngest brother, I'm the oldest of 5 boys, and my youngest brother, I was FaceTiming him, and I handed Sal the iPad, and my brother was like 12 at the time. And Sal takes the iPad and he goes, oh, who the fuck is this? And I was like, Sal, it's my little brother. And he's like, oh, hey, that's Sammy's brother. Like, literally, Sal is like the quintessential Italian. Love that family. Love
Sounds like you worked with
that
Super Mario.
Yeah, I love it.
Honestly,
Let me tell you,
yeah.
Sal was a landscape guy,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
found this beautiful property over there. I don't know; it's got to be worth billions now, but he started from nothing. I remember Sal. He started from nothing.
But they also have a huge side of their business that is landscaping and commercial installations.
Yeah.
So it just was a really wide breadth of experience. Like while I was there, we did all the Christmas decorations for American Airlines Terminal 7 at JFK, which was a huge undertaking, like a 50-foot artificial tree. And they do a lot of very, very cool stuff. It's a cool business.
So how long were you in New York for? How long did it take
I
for
was
New
in New
York
York.
to get rid of you?
Yeah, I didn't quite have enough time, honestly, to get New York out of my system. So the timing there is I was with QG for about a year and a half, and then Tim's business was really booming. And so he pitched the idea of what if he had always been solo, and he's like, what if you came on and did what I do? And so I did that. Actually went full time traveling for another year and a half, working with Tim and doing the same thing he does, speaking at conferences, working with flower shops, was on the road all the time. Really, really, really enjoyed it.
So
Met a ton of shops. It's fun because
hands-on,
now
right?
speaking at conferences,
A lot of personal in face,
exactly. It's
hands-on
fun now
selling.
speaking at shops because I'll see kids show up. Exactly. I'll see the kids of owners coming to Next Gen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are you so and so's kid? Yes. And I remember working with their parents. I don't really feel like I'm that old, but it happened that way, which was fun. And I actually took a break from the floral world because I was realizing that it was starting to become a career. And I wasn't sure that I wanted a career in flowers because I always thought I wanted to be a teacher. So at that point, I actually took a job teaching at a charter school in Manhattan,
Okay.
Inwood Academy. I taught a junior composition, and I was there for a year and really, really enjoyed it. And during my spring break, actually, Brad Levy, who is the president and owner of Allen's here in San Diego, he brought me out on my spring break to do sales consulting with his team. And it was during that spring break visit that I was kind of just spitballing with Brad and saying, like, hey, this thing's bigger than one person. You got to bring somebody on to help you run it. Here are all the ways I think you could do it better. And I remember him looking at me and be like, would you do it? And I was like, well, I wasn't thinking about me. I wasn't talking about me, but that started a conversation. And almost by the time I left San Diego, I had kind of not committed. I had committed to being open to it, but I'd say within a couple of weeks of emailing back and forth, it was a done deal.
Wow.
And I moved to San Diego that summer, like 4
What
months.
what was it that made you make the jump? Like, what was it that really sold you?
I think that Brad and I really vibed well, and those instincts turned out to be pretty accurate. I think that we're not family members. He was in a unique situation where a lot of businesses this size have multiple family members. You guys are no strangers to that with all the brothers coming back in. Like I had seen the craft business where there were 3 brothers, and Brad's sister was born on Valentine's Day and grew up with parents who ran flower shops. So whether it's a joke or not, she never had any interest in being in the business and has done very well for herself in investment banking. So there was room for me. We vibed really well. And really, it's been, that was in 2016 that I moved out here. So we're going on 6 years, 7 years. And Brad and I really get along as business partners about as well as 2 people could. He gives me the freedom to speak very directly to him. I don't pull any punches, and he does the same thing. So yeah, it's been a really good move.
I'm curious what your other 4 brothers do as another person with 4 brothers.
Yeah, so almost all the family is in education. My mom was a teacher. My dad works at the school. The next oldest brother is not in education, so he's an exception, but his wife is a teacher. Then the next brother is a coach and teacher, and his wife is a coach and teacher. The next brother is a coach and teacher, and his wife is a speech pathologist in the school system. And then the youngest brother, who is on the spectrum, actually works with my dad also at the school as kind of his little part-time gig. One of my brothers, who I love to brag about, he finally got his dream job of being a varsity boys basketball coach in Southern Indiana, where basketball is king. And he is the coach at none other than French Lick High School. Does anyone recognize French Lick High School?
Larry Bird. That's where Larry Bird is.
Exactly. He is the varsity coach at Larry Bird's.
How do you know that?
Huh?
That's pretty good for him. Yeah.
Very
That's
big
common.
basketball fan
Yeah, that's
growing
common.
up, and that's very big knowledge.
That's common.
He's from the
Common?
middle of
Do you know what
nowhere.
high school Larry
rural-
Bird is from?
I wouldn't
Rural
consider that
Indiana
common
French
knowledge,
Lick
but
High
yeah.
School.
Yeah, I don't know if it's common.
It's a good fun
but-
fact.
I mean,
Like,
if
if I
you
just
basketball fan,
I
it's
grew
common.
I grew up in the Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic
Exactly.
Johnson era.
Scottie Pippen.
But Scotty was, redheaded stepchild. It was Larry Bird and Michael Jordan
Yeah.
and Magic Johnson. And
Right.
I grew up watching these guys, and I know their history. I saw the movie Blue Chips. All these things.
If
that
it wasn't
they
for
speak about 'em.
that Chicago Bulls team, I would have never gotten into like that dream team into basketball. But after that, when I saw them winning and playing together, like that's how I became that's how I got into basketball.
That's 2.5 the world.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
that was exactly
basketball
what it was.
is king in Indiana. The high school. I told you how small my community was. 10,000 people, one high school. The high school gymnasium seats about 3,000 people. So imagine that it has the capacity to seat 30%.
It's like
Of the
football,
residents.
high school football in Texas.
Yes.
Exactly. It's like nothing else. One of my brothers actually got married in Larry Bird's old house, and the bride stayed in the suite that Larry built when Magic Johnson came to shoot that famous commercial at his house where they play horse and have a dunking
Yeah.
contest. The
Where
court's still
they-
the boys were sitting
they
down in the
play-
basement.
You probably haven't seen it, Joel, because you don't watch a lot of TV. But this was a famous commercial back in the '90s.
Yeah. So the boys, the groom and all his friends were downstairs, and the oldest brother and his wife, my wife Chelsea, the guest of honor, we actually got Larry's master suite.
Ooh.
Nice.
So we made some memories in Larry Bird's master suite. We couldn't miss the opportunity.
I wonder if the bed was still there. Is this bed like extra long?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It was a monstrous king size bed. I don't know how much has changed because he doesn't even own the property anymore, but they very much still play it up and have preserved it. Like the court is still that iconic green that you would recognize if you watch that commercial. So it was,
I would go to a hotel with Shaq's bed. I want to stay in Shaq's bed once.
yeah.
His bed is
exactly.
like 10 king size beds.
Shaq's custom ginormous bed. I don't
Yeah.
even know how he puts a sheet on that thing. You got to take a car to go from one corner to the other side.
Have you seen the bed?
Yeah.
It's round.
That's interesting.
It has no corners. It's like a circle, never ending. So talk to us. What position did you start at when you were working, when you started at Allen's, and where have you grown to now?
Yeah, so I actually started where I am. Brad brought me in as a general manager. I was the first general manager that they had ever had. When I got here, there were 3 retail stores that they knew that they were the same company and the same owners and related, but they kind of operated independently. Like each store had its own, answered their own phones, had its own designers. They did share a pool of drivers. So when I came in, I learned all this later. The staff was very, very nervous. This was a really big change for them. It felt like something happening out of nowhere. There were a lot of managers who were very, very had major hesitations. And I came in pretty aware of that. I think that I'm pretty good coming into a situation of proving myself first before I just start, laying down the law. So it was a pretty quick thing, pretty quick transition. But then a lot of things just started changing really, really, really quickly. So that was in 2016. Within a year, we had signed a lease for the building I'm sitting in now, Central Design Center. And a few weeks ago, we opened our 5th retail store. So we have 5 retail stores in the design center now. Most of the stores don't have designers anymore. They were all centralized to the design center. So a lot changed in the company really rapidly over the last 4 or 5 years. And obviously I've had my hands in all of that. So I think I built a pretty good team around me. I'm really proud of the people that I have, great managers, great leaders. And I think we do a pretty good job at what we try to do.
Amen.
So you've done so many different skill sets and different types of careers in the past. Which one of those do you think gave you the best tools in this new position?
That's tough to say. The teaching definitely is not to be discounted. Obviously, you all have seen that, particularly when I get to speak at industry events, but it translates to my staff as well. I think that I'm pretty good at not just yelling at them about what I want done, but trying to give them skills and helping them understand why something is important. You know, that was always important as a teacher, for it not just to be because I said so, but you get more buy-in if you can convince them of why your way is actually also better for them. So that translates. But I would also say, like, growing up in bumfuck Kentuckiana, I gained a lot of skills that I didn't know everyone doesn't have. So I'm the chief engineer here. I'm the chief janitor, plunging toilets, changing tires, minor mechanical stuff, minor carpentry work. You know, like I took for granted until I was an adult all those skills I picked up from my grandparents having a general store where I worked from the time I was 4. My uncle, who was kind of a everything contractor, you know, I helped him put roofs on. I helped him do. I'm very good at knowing what is beyond my skill level. So like I don't electrocute myself. I might do some minor electrical, but I know when to call on a professional.
Right.
But my city slicker Californian staff here is always just like, what don't you know how to do? And I'm like, I literally just plunged a toilet. Like, I don't think you should be that impressed.
With a house with 4 brothers, I'm sure that plunging of the toilet was a regular training.
And, you know, they were all athletes and I was the brains of the operation. So my dad kind of was, I don't think they would disagree with that assessment either. They were all really star athletes. And my dad made a commitment, you know, like as long as you were playing sports, he wanted you to be able to focus on that. So they didn't have to have jobs, and their job was athletics and they did very well at it. I was more of a hustler. So not because my parents told me to, but like I worked, as I said, at my grandparents' general store starting when I was 4 years old, and we did everything there. It was a gas station, full grocery, guns, ammo, hardware. I filled propane tanks. We sold bait and tackle for the lake. We baked pizzas. We had a deli. We had a video rental.
Damn.
Literally,
Good Lord.
a true general store.
He was
So
the
by
original
time I was
Walmart, the original Walmart in his town.
It really was. I remember people in my lifetime who did all of their grocery shopping in my grandparents' store. That was the only store that they came to. And yeah, all those skills definitely translated for sure.
You guys were talking about plungers. Have you seen those families that have a knife in the bathroom?
No.
Why is there a knife in the bathroom? Very curious.
Their shits are so big they have to like cut it up.
Oh my
flush
God.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's too much. They might need to reduce the fiber in their diet.
Yeah, you might need to work on
those are
the
bigger
plumbing.
families.
Yeah. Good Lord, that's terrible. That's terrible. Oh man.
It's way easier just to plunge it.
So
Yeah. Just fight. Just fight it down. Sam, you're very active in SAF Next Gen. That's where we got the pleasure of meeting you, but I know you're involved in the committee for that flower feeling. What made you want to get involved with SAF and then now the flower feeling?
You know, I had the blessing of being very connected to SAF right from the instant I came into the industry, because Tim was very connected to SAF. So, you know, traveling with him even before I was speaking, just traveling as his right hand man, and watching him speak. I think I realized pretty early on that it was a good outlet for the side of me that always wanted to be a teacher. I wasn't sad to leave the classroom behind, honestly, because I realized I needed to make money, and we don't live in a country where teachers are that well taken care of. Especially when I fell in love with Chelsea, who's a social worker, then I really realized one of us needed to make money. So truthfully, that was it. But it's been a great outlet for that side of me that just really enjoys doing it. I love teaching. I love speaking. And I love being an active member, especially once I have embraced that this is my career. I want to be an active member of the community and give back. So Next Gen has been a natural place, and SAF has been a natural place to do that. And that leadership has opened doors to other opportunities. So like you just mentioned, I just started serving with Ryan actually on the newly formed marketing committee for that flower feeling, which I'm very excited about.
They were both newbies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you guys had? You guys just had your first meeting, right? Or haven't had it
Did
yet?
you pitch any of Fern's ideas?
No, not yet.
Oh, come on. That was free gold.
No, that meeting was very specific. It wasn't like a meeting to pitch ideas. It was the meeting to make a decision about something that's already in play. So
honestly, we're still we need a few more meetings just to catch up with what has been done so far. We're still the committee is still being caught up to what's going on, which I guess we should spend some time talking about this because it's actually the industry. So Cal Flowers, as we know, has done a great thing in getting that flower feeling off the ground. Since I have been in the industry, kind of like when I started working with RTI 15 years ago, and they said, don't worry, there's going to be a new Windows version of RTI coming out any day now. Well, 15 years later, it still looks just like it did when I started in Dancing Crap. The same thing. I remember from the beginning hearing conversations at SAF about how do we do the got milk or the where's the beef for our industry.
Yeah.
And instantly that idea made sense to me. I have since come to understand some of the politics of why it has never happened. But I love that Cal Flowers was finally just like, you know what, fuck it. We have the money and no one else is doing it, so we're going to do this thing. And they got the ball rolling and really have reached a point where the idea is, for political reasons, they want to separate it from Cal Flowers, not because they don't want to have anything to do with it, but because they want it to be its own thing that stands on its own and doesn't represent California grown flowers or American grown flowers or imported flowers. It's just more people buying more flowers is good for all of us. Rising tide lifts all ships.
And you're in the right.
This is kind of the first step of them spinning it off from Cal Flowers, is developing its own foundation, developing a board of directors with these subcommittees that will very much decide how some big dollars are spent to continue this good momentum that they've got going.
And you're in the perfect committee, because for those who haven't had the pleasure of listening to Sam speak at SAF, he's like great ideas for branding, great ideas for repeating customers and just the experience that they're going through. And I think that's awesome. It's a great, Ryan's on there, you're on there. It's got a lot of great names up there.
Yeah, some heavy hitters on that board.
Who else is on that committee?
Chris Drummond is pretty much, is he the chair, right?
He's the chair.
Oscar Fernandez. You have DV Flora, John from DV, Kennecott, Denver Wholesale. Who am I forgetting?
I'm glad I put the pressure on Ryan to name people for them. So we had one meeting.
Two others. Yeah, we had one meeting. It was a very quick Zoom meeting, so trying to remember it off the top of my head. But
they're the kind of heavy hitters in the industry that, like, when you say something,
Joey from Alexandria.
Honestly, like, Ryan and I made some good points, I'm not gonna lie, on the first meeting, but it's the kind of heavy hitters in the industry that, like, when, I'm sure Ryan, you kind of feel the same way, when you say something and then a few of them are like, I totally agree with what Ryan just said, or I completely agree with what Sam just said, you're kind of like,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's a little validating. Yeah. That's nice.
You gotta listen to Sam. I don't know if you've already heard it. Vanessa was the last guest on the podcast, and that episode was basically Fern pitching all the good ideas he's got.
Great ideas.
Oh, nice.
It was. I had some really good ideas. I was really interested.
I'm putting Fern up for Marketer of the Year.
I will say that in our meeting there was mentioned about gamers. Gamers was brought up, and we were talking about.
Good. That's
gamers.
the right demographic.
That's a great demographic to go after.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I get in trouble every time that Xbox turns on.
From Logan or from Barbie?
From Barbie. No, Logan is like,
Logan's
let's
probably
play.
Get off. Yeah, let me play.
Logan is like, let's play. Love it.
I haven't been a gamer since my peak gaming was Nintendo 64 GoldenEye.
That was peak gaming.
That was peak gaming at that time.
I haven't played it for 15 years, but if we were in the facility right now, I still have that map memorized, and I could come find you and kill you just by looking at your screen, for sure.
I know where he's at. Go get him. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like my dad said like 2 lines this whole time.
Yeah,
He's
Mike,
quiet.
you're
Why are you
back.
so
Why
quiet?
are you quiet? We were so excited to have you back.
You got 2 weeks to catch up on.
Did we do a good job while you were gone?
I listened to one podcast. I didn't hear the one from Vanessa.
Good. You're on vacation. You should.
You didn't send me the one from Vanessa. I need to listen to that.
You were in Italy. We couldn't.
I had Wi-Fi everywhere.
Have you discussed yet that Papa Black has lost so much weight? Are you going to have to rebrand the podcast?
It's been discussed many times, actually.
Apparently, he's an inner fat guy, so you can't remove.
We're just gonna put
inside.
an X over.
Or you could just change it to fat, like PHAT, like a different use.
I like.
You're cool.
I like to follow follow what they did with renaming Twitter with the big X. So we're just gonna put the X over the word fat.
I still don't call
that's
Twitter
been so
X.
successful for them. You definitely
I
want
do
to
not.
It.
Everyone still
Exactly.
calls it Twitter. I love it.
Exactly.
Nobody calls it X.
Well, I like the X over the word fat. So
30 years from now, I will be referring to tweets and Twitter. I refuse to embrace the X.
Yeah.
I
So,
refuse.
I still feel like
Or Meta for Facebook, right?
Yeah, no.
Right.
I still feel like I'm the same. Like it doesn't work for me. Like I can't program myself to feel like my 36s are too big, which is crazy because I was in 44s. So
That's
I
awesome.
mean, that's great. I look at pictures and I'm like, Ryan definitely photoshopped this picture. Mike didn't look this big. Like you look at some of the pictures on the wall and it's like, holy shit. Mike is a new man.
That's awesome.
yeah,
Good for you.
we went all over the place, and I wouldn't have been able to do that before. No way. And speaking of plungers, the last time we were on a cruise was with all the family. We went on those weekend cruises every Christmas time. Remember, Ryan?
Yeah.
And that was the last time I was on a cruise ship. And I remember the challenge of getting on the bowl in that little tiny bathroom on the cruise ship. And the whole ride over to the cruise, I was thinking to myself, man, I hope the bathroom's not too small. But I fit in there just right. It was all right.
It's like, look at all this space for activities.
You see, guys, we're not having these like deep conversations.
In-depth conversations
No,
without Mike.
Without Mike, there was no deep conversation. We were tasting candy canes of hot dogs.
Oh yeah, give this guy his candy cane. Joel,
No,
give his candy
no,
cane.
no.
Not happening.
I like Mike too much for that.
Sorry, Andy.
All right, then
I'm not
give
even-
Fern
Hold
the
on.
space food then.
Andy
Give Fern the space
did.
food.
We're not doing
He
that
doesn't
this
know about the
episode.
space
I'm
food.
not ready for that. Yes, I know about it. And first of all, it needs to be
Go get
put
the
in a.
space food
It
file.
needs to be put in a bowl of warm water. I've read the instructions.
Oh, that makes sense.
You can't just eat it a la carte off the gate. In the thing. We're not.
You want to smell it?
No.
No, you opened it. Don't
Yeah,
open it. You're
I
not
op-
supposed to open it.
I opened it.
You're not supposed to open it till you eat
It's
it.
in a squeegee.
He opened
like
it.
toothpaste thing.
He opened it and put it in my face, and I
The instructions are in
smelled it.
Russian. How am I?
Oh, it's from the cosmonauts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, don't eat it.
It's like toothpaste.
Don't work
Oh,
out.
well, I'm so happy we're over that.
Well, I
That
don't
candy
think you can eat
cane.
anything
That
that shows
candy
up without a
cane
label,
haunts
because
me in my
I
dreams.
would-
This room smelled bad.
It smells too.
No,
It's
like
the
it
candy
did.
canes did.
Oh,
It smelled
wow.
like old
They
hot
gave
dog
us,
water.
Sam, they gave us hot dog flavored candy canes. Was the last one they sent in to us to
Nice.
try.
And now
That's
a
awesome.
hot dog,
They were terrible.
some sort of space food that
It's like a cheese.
It's like
Joel-
a cheeseburger, Texas
Joelle
cheeseburger.
put it in my face and said, "Smell this," and I smelled it, and
He
I
almost threw up.
almost threw up. I was gagging for a good, ugh, just disgusting.
Yeah, that
Andy,
doesn't sound
Andy, you are not my
appetizing.
friend, Andy.
Mm-mm.
Andy is having way
hilarious.
too much fun with this. He said him and his daughter consistently replay the video you sent him of us almost throwing up with the hot dog candy canes. I strongly suggest never to sell those.
I'm gonna actually put that on TikTok, that video, because it's too funny watching all of you guys' faces.
I know this is a podcast, so the viewers can't see it, but I'll show you guys since it's on topic. I actually just got the new
Camera.
Ray-Ban Meta collab glasses. So there are little cameras built in right here. And there's a shutter button. Okay, yeah,
Oh,
so the
yeah.
lights,
Oh, that is
the
awesome.
light's telling you that I'm now recording.
Oh wow.
shit.
So it does let people know what you're doing. You can take pictures, but the cool thing also is it's sending audio through into your ears somehow just by resting on the top. And
Right.
You can talk to it like a personal assistant. So you can be out and about. There are also transition lenses, so they turn
Tony
into
Stark.
sunglasses.
No way.
It's like
It
his-
really is.
you can
are
even say-
Tony.
you
You
can-
are Tony Stark.
It's like his glasses in
You
the
can
Avengers
you can
movie.
even say, "What am I looking at?" And it will tell you like.
Wow.
I mean, it's still pretty dumb technology. Don't be too impressed. It's far.
What are you
from garbage.
planning on doing with this technology on your face?
I got it. I got it for our own social media here at the shop. I thought it'd be cool to put it on a designer and have
Right.
them make size and have that POV.
videos.
It's much better than the GoPro on the forehead.
How's the
Exactly.
quality? How's the
That's
quality? So does it download
Ryan, we need
to
one
the
of
computer?
those.
It's made for social media, so it's vertically oriented video that's designed for social media. You can also go live through the glasses on Instagram,
Wow.
or Facebook if you want to communicate with your grandparents
but
and
you
aunts.
use prescription glasses, so does that have your prescription also inside it?
You can put your prescription in it. My prescriptions actually are just for the computer and for reading.
Oh.
So I just got transition lenses because mostly I thought I'd be using it outside. I'm going to go to Italy this summer. That'll be a big test of it, but it's cool. I think that it's also I'm definitely an early adapter of technology. I think somewhere between these and the new Apple Vision.
I wanted to ask you, is that like,
mean,
is your step towards that? Are you going that
exactly.
direction?
I think like as soon as 5 years from now, we could have on glasses that just look like glasses that are doing what the Apple Vision is doing with augmented reality. Basically, Jarvis.
Would you put in a contact lens that does the same thing?
I'm so all in. I would do an implant. Like I'm a terrible person to ask.
You are Tony Stark.
He's Tony Stark.
Not from Elon right now, but most of them, if they were like, "Do you want to be a beta tester to have an ocular implant?" I'd sign me up. I would do it.
All right,
for sure.
So there was a movie in the 70s, I think, or late 60s, early 70s, called 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I think it was 1968.
Whoever thought of that movie predicted the future, because all this stuff, all this technology is here now and has been here for a while. And they thought about it when none of it existed, when it was still rotary telephones. So I just feel like there's so much more to come.
Well, Sam is an English major. There's tons of books that did stuff that predict things like that.
Yeah. And people have short memories. You know, like people love to make fun of the Apple Vision goggles and like, who's going to wear those goofy things? They cost $3,500. Well, that's not the point. The point is that they're just generation one. Mm-hmm. And you have to have generation one before you can get to generation 5. I remember the first iPhone, and I was so excited to have the first iPhone. I was an undergraduate at the time, finishing up undergrad.
You waited do shit on the first all iPhone. Night?
No, I couldn't even get on the internet on that phone. You could call people. I couldn't even send text messages because they still cost me 50 cents a pop.
No, I meant, did you wait online to buy it outside, like all night? They had those lines that went for 2 blocks.
No, I actually bought it so early it was before the craze. I went to AT&T store. I was one of the ones who bought it, and the Jobs gave us money back whenever he lowered the price, which further endeared me to him and the company. Sure. Like I was instantly an Apple man from that experience, and I had never been Apple. I was like a Microsoft nerd. And
I was totally BlackBerry at that moment. It was BBM Messenger was everything.
Yeah, I did have the BlackBerry.
Apple's the enemy.
So what are your like must-have tech tools then for like somebody in your position?
Wow. You know, I talk a lot about Todoist because it's so simple and relatively inexpensive. It's the task manager that I use. It's really easy to create tasks and it's smart. So you just start typing and say, you know, check time cards the first Tuesday of every month, and it understands that and creates a recurring thing. Or you can say next Wednesday at 1 p.m. or whatever. It's a very small thing, but it keeps me on track, and it keeps me doing a lot of mindless tasks that I don't have to waste time thinking about because they're just right there. So
I use my phone.
That.
I keep telling my phone to remind me of this, that, or the other thing, and then it keeps popping up on my screen, and I just snooze it till I get to it, or if I just do it, knock it out. Without that, I'd be in bad shape.
It has a corresponding phone app, so you can do the same thing. You can use Siri to add the reminders, but it definitely keeps me organized and on track, for sure.
I need that.
It's a good thing. So, Sam, you've talked a lot of good...
Hold on, I wanted to go back to the flower feeling. I wanted to mention to the listeners and to the members of the committee that we, as a farm in Ecuador, decided that we want to take that message global. So every box that we ship from our farm that goes all around the world, besides the United States, it also goes to every continent, pretty much around the world. There will be a message Why don't you tell what it is, Mimi? You wrote it.
Yeah, the message will be explaining that flower feeling, and it also has a QR code that could take them to our website where we explain the flower feeling, and as well as promote, and they can go to that flower feeling site as well. So it's just to promote the foundation and everything that's happening. But it's really cool. It's a really beautiful design by Ryan, and it's inside all the boxes. So when they open it, they're going to feel that flower feeling. Legit, the flower feeling.
That's awesome. Well, props to you and props to Jet Fresh for being such early and enthusiastic supporters of the cause. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to give you too much credit because I think it's a no-brainer, but in all seriousness, you deserve credit for being early supporters and enthusiastic supporters. And that's really awesome. Same for Next Gen. You know, Mike, I told you this at the last conference. I just think that there's a real lack of foresight from some of the companies that haven't supported Next Gen. And I told you, you know, like the young people sitting in that room may not be the buyers for their company right now at this moment, but they're going to be pretty soon. And we're going to remember those who have been very active members of the community. And I think you're probably already seeing the dividends from that anyway, but kudos to you for being forward thinking, for giving your young team the freedom to do some crazy things. I think that has to have been a big part of the success of Jet Fresh for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, we're lost in business without new people. We're just lost. There won't be a future without new people. And I've seen it. I've seen family businesses close because there was nobody
to take it forward.
Yeah. Or there wasn't the right moment to sell or something like that. I've seen them fold because of that. And also, I notice it myself every day. It's like, if you want to grow your business, it probably will grow. And if you don't have the right support around you, you're going to burn out. You're going to burn out, and you're going to, and you might even fail. And that, I have that experience in my life by, not nurturing others around you. And that's why I decided years ago that we were going to continue to work, instead of hiring from the outside, we look for somebody on the inside who's actually got the skill set buried somewhere within them, and to bring it out. And I think just going on these little trips on the company's dime, to go to these, different places, to be with people, like-minded people that are probably in the same situation as you are, makes that person more enthusiastic about the business and more willing to take on more responsibility and more willing to continue to grow, because we want them to send me again next year and have more time and more fun. So it's like even with CAD, like I went myself just a few years ago for the first time, and I had such a good experience that the next year I didn't go. I said, Fern, you go. And then this year, Fern didn't go. He sent Dan, and Dan went. And we want to continue to have one key person in the company have that experience too, because that was cool, man, to walk the halls of Congress. I mean, we all vote, we all do all these things and believe in politics and hate this guy and love that guy. But nobody ever goes there. Nobody ever tries to make a difference. No one ever goes and, actually
speaks with people and goes to the offices. I thought that was so cool.
Cool.
Like, this is where the shit happens, right?
That's got to be the same.
Fern was
kind
there
of
on
feeling.
January 6th, right?
I was rehearsing. Rehearsing.
I'm just that was a bad joke. I'm just teasing.
It's okay.
You're totally right, Mike. And then not only being a good member of the community, but it also pays off for your business.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's an
a really practical example is your son is Jet Fresh is taking care of a complicated lay delivery for a corporate client of mine at Disney World this weekend.
I heard about it. I came back from vacation. That was the first thing Casey told me. I got an order from Allen's. It's like, great.
Yeah, I know. I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled. And it really is. Would I have been able to figure it out? Maybe. Is my corporate client very impressed that what I told her was true, that I have connections everywhere and I have friends who can make things happen? Yeah, she's really impressed by it. So being an active part of the floral community also pays dividends for your business, besides even just what it pours into your staff, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to not worry about so much what it costs to send somebody to, or 3 or 4 or whatever to next gen, or to even just SAF convention. Like I've been in the flower business 45 years. I've never been to an SAF convention until 4 or 5 years ago was the first time I ever went. I was like, what did I miss? I missed so much. All I was doing was worried about, the business, and there's no way I could take 2 days off or 3 days off to go.
Yeah, but you're evolving in your career. Like at this point, you are.
Yeah, but
more
it took me
focused.
40 fucking years. Yeah, that's a long time.
No, but Mike, if think about it.
There was many steps. There were steps. It wasn't 1-to-1.
No, but you didn't have that time because you were doing a lot of that stuff on your own. Now you've grown a team. And now you can go and learn and meet and do and so it's different.
Yes and no, but I guess it's just like a lot of other people in the business. It's just, someone else will do it.
Right.
Someone else will take care of it. They don't need me. Someone else will take care of it. It's kind of like a thief, right? Let them take care of it. And now they just signed up. I got an email the other day. Companies like DV and Mayesh and Kennecott's and others have joined a FIF, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Which is great. So I'm happy with all that, and I'm happy to continue to teach people what's going on in the business. And I don't just send them to industry events like that. I also send people to travel to farms in different countries, and so they can get good experiences. We were just talking about that a couple hours ago with some people that, the company invests in them.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It means a lot to the team. Being here in San Diego, I was able to send more of our team than we ever have.
Yeah.
And I kind of tried to hang back and let them have their own experience. But, the same thing happened for them that happens for me every time. They came back almost with more ideas than we could actually execute, and we had to kind of let's prioritize. But it meant a lot. And I tell owners and managers this kind of thing all the time. There are little silly investments you can make in people that oftentimes mean as much or more than a raise or bonus. Not that those aren't good things, but I think that there are little things that people do that sometimes are discounted that really mean a lot to your team. And it meant a lot to my team that we invested in them to go to an industry event like that. And it fired them up. They came back with lots of great ideas.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that attitude that you have. And I wish, more people supported industry events like that and sent their people, because I think the industry as a whole would be better if people had more outlets or more people to talk to and more ways of just saying, hey, we do this way, but what is there a better way? And that's what you get there. You're able to communicate with peers and people who might think the same way you do and have a different outlook on how it's done.
Some people might feel like it's going to be tougher for me to afford to send people because like my sales are a little bit down, or, costs are way up. Margin might be a little thinner in many companies. So it's hard to find the extra change to, send somebody. But I have the opinion of what's it going to cost you to not do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a drum that I always beat at Next Gen is I think that investing in your staff that way helps them see working in this industry as a career. Like that's a word I use a lot. And I think that even going to events like that, it gives you some pride that this is the industry that I'm a part of, and I'm connected. I'm at this thing with other people who are doing the same thing as me. And
you mentioned that earlier. At what point was it when you went to San Diego's when you accepted it as your career, or was it something in there?
Yeah, I think after I had really given teaching an honest shot and loved it and enjoyed it, but found myself kind of missing. I've also always kind of had that entrepreneurial business mindset as well. And I realized that part of me wasn't being fed in the classroom. And yeah, I think it was when I came to Allen's that I finally started saying, like, I think that this could be my career and it could be a good path for me. I don't think I even referred to myself as a florist until that time. So yeah, for sure. And I don't think that I was trying to resist it because I was ashamed of it. That really wasn't the case. It really just kind of seemed to me like, well, I've only done these jobs because they just happen to be there at the right moments. And I'm sure eventually I'll move on to what will actually be my thing. And I think there are a lot of people working in my business that started the same way. They thought I'm just going to be a delivery driver until the next thing comes along. And now they're the manager of the delivery department. Or I'm just going to process flowers until the next thing comes along. And 16 years later, she's my lead designer and she's one of the best floral designers I've seen across the country. Like those are true stories that happen in our businesses all the time. So I think talking about it and making sure your staff understands this could be a career as well is a good thing. And to put some pressures on owners and operators, sending them to conferences is great. Another way you can help them realize it's careers by actually taking care of them. So Allen's, I like to also think I've helped Allen's go from being a mom and pop to a big boy company, with healthcare, retirement plan,
nice,
other benefits of that nature that make it a place that can support somebody and that they could see themselves being here, and that there are opportunities for growth.
Sam, do you design?
Love that.
Yeah, I do design. I don't consider myself a designer, and I make a big deal about that out of respect for those who that's their expertise. But the way I explain it to every designer who has been a member of my team is I also think I have a pretty good fashion sense and pretty good taste in clothes, but I don't claim to be a tailor. And so they very much respect that sometimes I have a better idea of what's on trend or what I want an arrangement to look like. And I'm not claiming that I can make it look like that, but like using that analogy, and then also just over time and experience, I think that both things can be true. I don't claim to be a designer. I'm not saying I can make it, but I do think I have a pretty good finger on the pulse of what's trending, what will sell. And I think my designers respect that as well.
When I visited you, I was impressed that you had a specific designer just for the dish gardens. Like you have, he takes the talent and he puts the talent in the right spot for that product as well. And
she's passionate about plants. She's good at it. She's one of the people I mentioned who got an associate's degree in doing that because that's what she wanted to do. I think she's one of the best designers we have, and she makes gorgeous succulent gardens, contemporary, modern, California-looking cactus and succulent gardens, the old school blooming gardens. But I think with everything we do here, we try to honor the past of floristry. So we have some traditional elements, but we also are trying to be our own things. So, when I got to Allen's, also 99 out of 100 images on the website were stock photos from Teleflora and others. And now 99 out of 100 images on our website are original images of things that we shot. And I always make the point, you shouldn't shoot your own arrangements just to shoot your own arrangements, because getting good pictures of flowers is actually really difficult to do. And for many, many people, using stock photos is actually the best solution. Why it wasn't for us is because, as you know, in Southern California, we have access to a bunch of cool product. And all those wire surface images have to be made with the same 13 flowers that everybody has across the country. And I get it. And they're just trying to help the industry out. But when I got here, I was like, why don't we have these cool pincushion proteas in any of our online arrangements? We have them all the time. They're grown right here in San Diego. I'm like, well, it's because we weren't doing our own photography. So it has allowed us to kind of put our own mark on things and kind of do our version of things, which really resonates with our customers as well. Even down to our add-ons, and you've heard me talk about them, our finishing touches. We're a border community. My house is 15 miles from the border with Tijuana, Mexico. It's basically a mirror city on the other side of the border, and you very much feel that influence here in San Diego. And so a couple of years ago, we started offering little miniature piñatas that are made in Tijuana. We put like 12 Jolly Ranchers in them ourselves when we bring them over and add them to arrangements. And it was the kind of thing that when I first did it, Brad was very skeptical. And this happens pretty often, where he looks at something and he's like, I don't get it. But, like I just complimented you, my key is like, try it and see what happens. And shoot, I think in 2 years, we probably sold 2,000 miniature piñatas as add-ons.
Nice.
And it's not just a moneymaker for us, but multiple customers have even commented in online reviews that it isn't just the flowers that are unique, but they even have unique and fun and funny and cool and different add-ons as well. So it's like, it's kind of thing that sets you apart from your competition and gives a great customer experience that keeps people coming back.
That's so smart.
Very good. Sam. Go Sam. So Sam, you've told us a lot of good. What about some bad and ugly of the floral industry? As a person who you thought, like the rest of your family, you were going into teaching.
Yeah, I would say the bad and ugly of the industry is I think sometimes there's too much of a race to the bottom. And what I mean by that is sometimes I think shops feel too much of a pressure to compete with. They get too preoccupied with competing with grocery store prices or Costco prices. And that's not to say that if you reach a certain size, you can't get clever and try to do some of that. But what I've always taught is focus more on yourself and pay less attention to what the grocery store is doing, because the average florist offers something that the grocery store doesn't. And that's a personalization, that's hand delivery. And I think sometimes focusing on offering a quality product with quality service is actually a better business strategy than trying to figure out how can I compete with Taco Bell or McDonald's, or, I'm just using analogies here for stereotypically cheap things. I think of a shoe company that I really like called Adams that had an ad that went pretty viral and was pretty famous and has been ripped off a lot now, where the ad literally just said, "Our shoes are not cheap." And then there was just a bunch of text saying like, they're made ethically. They're made from responsible materials that are sourced responsibly. The people who make them are paid a living wage. And that really resonated with me because that's the kind of consumer I am. I'll pay more money for quality and a brand that I can get behind and feel good doing it. And I've kind of carried that over. And I think sometimes the industry sells itself short. Like the last couple of years, when we would talk about Valentine's Day or Mother's Day forecast, I would hear a lot of my peers say like, "Oh, we're nervous, so we're planning to be down 5%. Well, one of the first things I learned in literature classes or back in English classes or whatever were self-fulfilling prophecies. If you plan to be down 5%, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be down 5%.
Damn right.
One thing I'll say for Brad is we're going to go get it every time, dude. Like we plan to be up 10% with the capacity to stretch to 20% every time. And then if we end up at 12%, we're thrilled. If we end up at 19%, we're thrilled. If we end up 9%, I'm very happy. Brad's a little disappointed. But you have to be optimistic and give yourself a chance to succeed. And I see way too much in our industry of we're just a bunch of negative Nancys. It's like for the last 8 years, despite all the signs, what I still even hear is like, yeah, but the economy is going to crash at any moment. Okay, well, maybe it will, and we'll deal with that when it comes. But, like another country saying I grew up with is you got to make hay while the sun's shining, and the sun's shining, so let's make some hay,
My grandfather told me once that in his opinion, the flower industry was recession and inflation proof. That someone's always going to pass away, someone's always going to fall in love, someone's always going to get married, someone's always going to be in trouble.
To the right business, it's recession proof. If you're doing business right, I agree with that statement.
The flower business.
Yeah, in the flower business, yeah. If they know and they're in communication, they build a clientele, they have good product, you're going to do good.
Do you ever dress up your guys on the holidays and tuxedos or something like that with white gloves delivering?
We do the holidays so big that I'm much more focused on getting 60 drivers on the road by 9 a.m. I'm not too concerned with what they're wearing, to be honest.
Sam, I
like
curious.
The idea. I have jokingly.
You got to get those tuxedo T-shirts.
Sam, I'm always curious during the holidays, especially now that Mother's Day is coming out. Like, coming around the corner. What do people do to schedule the drivers? If you have 60 drivers and all the orders, what system do you use, or how do you schedule everybody?
Well, we're really blessed. We have a courier partner who we use year round. So like today on an average day, I have 3 or 4 drivers that are my employees, but I have 3 or 4 drivers that are courier drivers and employees of this courier company. Now, on an everyday basis, the couriers who work for me are the same people. So it's almost no difference between my drivers and them. Like they know the policies, procedures, this is what they do. But the brilliant part of the relationship is that we're able to tell him, hey, for Mother's Day, on this day, we need 40 drivers. On this day, we need 50. On this day, we need 60. And he makes it happen.
Wow.
We take care of vehicles. We take care of routes, but he takes care of the people showing up. And so for Valentine's Day and Mother's Day.
So is it a staffing agency?
No, he's very well connected in the delivery industry. He worked at a really big delivery partner, a nationwide delivery partner here, and he just knows a ton of people.
Wow.
So he sends out a text that says, hey, here's an opportunity, and has people sign up, and it just works out really well. So we build the routes, we load the vans, and when they show up, they get a clipboard and a set of keys. And so like for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, truly we have 60 people on the road at 8:30 a.m. that have 25 pieces in their van. So that's 1,500 pieces going out.
But you rent the vans. The vans are provided by you.
We have a relationship with Enterprise as well. So it's the same thing. We call them and say, we need 50 stow and goes. We definitely have to give them some notice, but that's another good example of a company that maybe charges a little bit more for what they do, but they're all about service. So with their pool, they slowly start working stow and goes to the San Diego airport location, and they have them all there for us when the day comes.
I'm guessing that's why sometimes you driving on the highway, you see like a convoy of Enterprise vans. They must all be going to a special customer.
They're bringing them to me. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Sam, answer these questions rapid fire. All right. What, in your opinion, is the best sandwich?
Pastrami on rye from Katz's Delicatessen.
Yeah.
Good one.
No question. If I were on death row, no question.
That's what you're asking for?
Guys, you can order Katz's Deli anywhere. I ordered it for my mom's birthday.
You can get it on
they bring it
Gold
to you.
Belly.
It's perfect.
It is pretty good when they ship it to you.
No, but there's
But
nothing
not
like
the same.
Yeah.
Not the same.
There are a lot of things that when I was a little country bumpkin going to the city were really good the first time, and they're still pretty good. But every time I go back, I have a pastrami on rye from Katz's, and it's never not as good as it was the first time.
Where was your bagel spot?
You know, I didn't really have a bagel spot. I lived up in Inwood at the tippy top of Manhattan, and so there was a great little pharmacy. You know, one of those weird New York businesses where it was actually an independent pharmacy, but in the morning the dude made breakfast sandwiches, and I'm sure he brought the bagels from Brooklyn, and he literally used like a little toaster oven. But I've never had a bacon, egg, and cheese better than his. Still,
but that's on a roll.
Can't beat it.
Dichter Pharmacy in Inwood in Manhattan. I don't know if he's still there, but
shout out. Okay, cool. What is your favorite flower at the moment?
Well, my joke is that it's the most profitable one.
That's right. That's
what's my actual favorite?
What's the most profitable right now?
I have an actual favorite. So Chelsea, my wife, and I really, really enjoyed the local lilac season. That wasn't something we had experienced until we moved here. It's also unique because Allen's is really big and we buy direct from so many farms these days. But our lilac still comes out of the hills of East County, San Diego, from some people who look like they're from where I'm from, some rough around the edges mountain people, and I just love everything about it. It's a cool experience. It looks great on your table. It smells great. So I'm going to go with lilac.
There you go. What's the most overrated flower?
You know, lilies don't do much for me. I feel like it's a thing that people say because it's popular. So like behind the rose, I feel like maybe a lily would be another one that a lot of people just know the name of it and they think they want it. But I've always found it hasn't been a great experience. As a salesperson, it hasn't been a great experience. If you deliver them tight and fresh, then people will call and complain and say, like where the lilies, they're just a bunch of buds. If you deliver them blown open, then they only last a day or two. So
Can
maybe a
never win.
controversial answer, but I'm going to say lilies are overrated.
Okay. What about most underrated?
I think people discount carnations.
Ding,
I
ding,
don't like
ding.
it. I don't like the customer who's just like, and no, carnations are mums, and because they just think that's the thing they're supposed to say because those are cheap flowers. Because first of all, if you're paying attention to wedding trends, there are, as long as they're the right colors, carnations have definitely made a comeback. Shoot, baby's breath. If I had a dime for every bride that just wants a bunch of baby's breath put into a jar. So I think sometimes, again, it's one of those self-fulfilling things where people who think they know flowers are snooty, and it's unnecessary. There are beautiful mums. There are beautiful carnations.
Our youngest brother Connor is getting married at the end of the year, and his fiance was saying she wants baby's breath, and I'm like, you have access to any flower you want, and you're gonna pick baby's breath? That's what you're gonna go with?
I hope she wants it dyed.
I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Psychedelic.
Hopefully.
Carrie Ann got pampas grass in her wedding.
She went pampas grass, but peddled the crazy pampas grass. Like that was the way to do it. If you're gonna go pampas grass, you go over the top pampas. So they did that.
Yeah, for sure.
What is your go-to way to relax?
I'm a beach boy, so the California lifestyle very much suits me. I grew up in the Midwest, not on a beach, but family vacations to the beach were a highlight to Florida or Myrtle Beach. So being able so many days of the year to drive 12 minutes and watch the Pacific Ocean pound against the shoreline, that's definitely my go-to. And my favorite beach is the one where clothes are optional, which is only one of them here. But it's really, all jokes aside, it's really helped me kind of become more body positive. It's been an exercise in body positivity for me. And
you streaking on the beach, Sam? You running around streaking?
The funny thing is that Brad and his wife don't go to the nude beach, to my knowledge, to get nude, but they do ride their bikes through that area.
That's the nude beach.
And
what if you saw somebody you knew there? Yeah. What if?
He's so afraid that he's going to see more of me than he wants to see that he will often text me and be like, "Hey, we're getting ready to ride through Black's Beach."
Is it called Black's Beach?
That's funny.
Yeah, it's called Black's Beach.
Hell
it's
yeah.
under the Torrey Pines Golf Course.
Oh,
It
nice.
is-
Casey must have known about it.
Casey's
It's a
probably
great
Casey
area
was
of the
streaking
law.
through there.
It's a gray area of the law where it's not technically legal, but it's definitely known that it's not illegal.
But
Like,
I mean,
cops,
if you're gonna
lifeguards
do
are-
something nude, just chilling at the beach is good. Like, I went to the Madonna concert this weekend, and she had some of the dancers with no tops on, and they were dancing, and all I could think was that has to be so uncomfortable. Like everywhere, you're just going
I hate the
everywhere.
feeling
Flapping.
of sand in the crack of my butt. I hate that feeling.
I would also make the good point that the reason it's the nude beach is because it's really hard to get down to. You have to hike a pretty intense hike down a sketchy cliff to get to it. And even if you don't want to get naked, what that means is there aren't very many children or families there.
Right.
And you have a lot of breathing room. It's not crowded. The tourists are not there. So even for those reasons, it's a great beach.
So you have to answer the question, the age-old question: do you roll over and dig a hole, or you just let it fly?
If I'm laying on my stomach, I dig out a little divot for sure.
It's cooler.
Yeah. If you could have a lunch with a movie or TV character, or I guess for you, maybe an athlete, you might be more interested in an athlete.
An actor or a character?
Or an athlete.
Any of them.
Or an athlete.
Fictional, non-fictional, your choice.
Wow. That's tough.
We've had
I'll be a
historic
lame-o and say that when I think of if I had my druthers and could choose anyone living, I think I would want to have lunch with Barack Obama.
Wait, didn't we just have
immense
Michelle?
respect for her.
We just had somebody say Michelle Obama, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would take her as well. I was in college and he came to speak and did a rally while I was an undergraduate, and it was right at the beginning of his kind of meteoric rise. And I went to hear him speak and I was highly skeptical. And man, it was kind of like I got the iPhone and I went Mac and I never looked back.
Yeah.
I was in the front row. I could have reached out and touched the hem of his garments, and I left that building like I'd take a bullet for that man, and I've never looked back.
Wow.
He was a speaker, man. I heard him speak
Yeah.
before I voted for him, and I was like, holy shit, this guy can
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in all transparency, my wife hates when I share this, but like I was a member of the college Republicans and I went to hear him speak, and I came back and I resigned. I was an officer. I resigned the next day.
Wow.
And, yeah, he had a profound impact on me for sure.
That's awesome. Okay. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I'll say flying. I love flying. I have a dream of getting a pilot's license. So if I could just skip it and do it, I think I have to go with flying.
Like that. What am I forgetting? Am I forgetting one?
The drunk. What's your favorite? What's your go-to drunk food?
My go-to, the ultimate drunk food, if it couldn't be a pastrami sandwich from Katz, would be Waffle House.
Oh,
So California is kind of unique. When I got here, I realized there are a lot of food franchises that are in the rest of the country but aren't in California. And then there are some that are in California but haven't broken out. You know, we're kind of our own little republic here. So even just this past weekend, I took a team to Phoenix to do an event setup. And I asked the girls, we needed like a hearty breakfast on the way there. And I asked the girls, have you ever had Cracker Barrel and have you ever had Waffle House? And both of them said no to both of those things because they're California born and raised. And honestly, like I was split because I love giving people their first Cracker Barrel experience. And I love even more giving people their first Waffle House experience.
I haven't had Waffle House, so yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have
Oh
to
my
work
gosh.
on
Well,
that.
when people ask you, people often ask the question, do you like Waffle House or do you like Cracker Barrel? And it's a trick question because the answer is Cracker Barrel was correct for actual breakfast from like 7 a.m. to noon, but Waffle House is the correct answer from about midnight to 5 a.m.
Yes.
Nothing better.
No, Cracker Barrel, you gotta get the home style chicken. That's where you got that for lunch, and
Well,
where Cracker
imagine
Sunday
a restaurant.
chicken.
That's what I tell these
Well,
Californians.
they offer it weekly now. It's
Yeah.
not just Sunday anymore.
Cracker Barrel is a restaurant where everyone gets biscuits and gravy just as a side dish.
Yeah.
Assumed.
Yes,
Brought
everywhere
to the
you
table,
go.
no questions asked.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you can't beat that.
Biscuits and gravy are so underrated.
My wife goes shopping at Cracker Barrel.
I loved Cracker Barrel.
Oh, that's the next
That
best
front
part.
store, yeah, that front
And
store.
then another fun thing you're just reminding me now. My aunt used to eat breakfast at Cracker Barrel every morning, and you know they have that little golf tee triangle
Yes.
game.
Yes.
So she taught me a system I remember to this day, and I'm actually like a Cracker Barrel golf tee game shark. So when I was in youth ministry or when I was teaching kids, I would pretend like, oh, I've never played, and I would trick them into like betting me.
Poker
And then-
move.
You
And I
little
would
hustler.
I would let them go first, and they would get down to 3 and be so proud, and then they would hand it to me, and I was like, how does it work again? And they would explain it, and I was like, well, what if I just do it with my eyes closed? And they'd be like, what? And so I would close my eyes and look the other way, and I can get it to 1 every time with this system my aunt taught me, and yeah, I've hustled some kids out of some money doing that.
Sam, next time
That's
we
fun.
hang out, I need to know the system.
Yeah.
I'll teach
Is
you,
there,
man.
is there a name for that game? The golf tee game? Is that what
It
it's
has
called?
to have a name because they sell it. But
So,
yeah,
when you come to
everyone knows
Miami-
it as the-
He's coming to Miami.
Yeah,
When you come to
SAF.
Miami, we go to the Cracker Barrel.
There you go.
you make sure you have one. I'll teach you the system
There you go. That's the
Fair
plan.
for sure.
Do you know the Rubik's Cube system?
You know, that's a funny thing. I don't know a Rubik's Cube.
Up,
And there's
left,
some
left,
nerdy
up,
that's
left,
a nerdy
left.
thing I never learned, and I never learned how to juggle. And the funny story there is it was the longest running miscommunication between me and my wife. So my wife was an avid soccer player, and I've come to love soccer. We're big Premier League fans. We follow the NWSL very closely. The San Diego Wave is our team. They're really good. But for a couple of years, she would ask me, I wish you knew how to juggle. And I would think to myself, well, I am a weird white nerd. You would think I would know how to juggle. I kind of like magic tricks. And we would move on. And she would say it, and this happened a couple of times. And finally one day I was like, why are you so obsessed with me knowing how to juggle? And she's like, because I just miss being able to kick a soccer ball around. And I was like, what does that have to do with juggling? And she's like, that's what it's called. It's called juggling, and I just started laughing. Literally for 3 years, she was talking about kicking a soccer ball around, and I was talking about tossing objects to the air.
He's been taking lessons. What he didn't tell you is he took lessons on how to juggle. So now he's really good, but he doesn't want to admit it.
To impress my wife, sitting here with 3 baseballs every day, and the whole time she was talking about sitting. Yeah, really. I'm not good at rapid fire answers. In case you haven't figured that out, I have a story for everything.
You know what, Sam? Being the general manager of Allen's, you're more of a juggler than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
You're juggling all day, every day.
Oh, man. What a great episode, Sam. Thank you for sharing. Joelle, Mimi, myself, Mike.
Sorry.
Oh, we missed
contact information.
Yes. How can someone get in contact with you, Sam, if they want to reach out, they want to learn a little, or they got some questions?
Yeah, email me. It's sam@allensflowers.com. So SAM@ALLENS, flowers with an S.com.
All right. And one more question, last one. If there was somebody you would love to suggest to be a future guest on the podcast, who would that be?
Goodness. There are so many. You know, I'm a big fan of Lori from Flower Click, but you already did that,
I
right?
love her.
Mhm.
We had the click on. Yeah, we
had
all
the
three of them,
clickers.
so.
Yeah, I
Lori
thought you
moved
already.
me at Next Gen.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah,
moved me
I love-
with her.
I love her to death. We only really got to know each other in the last couple of years, but we've become pretty fast friends, and I bounce a lot of ideas off of her. Yeah, I'm big fans of the Flower Click girls. I don't know. There are so many great people.
Mimi's
you
wearing
can
Flower
email
Click
us.
sweater.
I know. I just noticed that.
You can email us. No worries. If
Yeah.
somebody comes to mind, you email us.
I recently actually, I meant to share this because I think it'll be a funny story. I recently reached out to Lori in a way of like, I need your feedback or advice because I think I messed up and I need you to tell me if I messed up or not. I ordered these eggplant pillows on clearance from our plush provider
Penis
because I thought
pillows?
they would be yeah,
That's
they're
funny.
like,
I can
they're
see
like-
the joke. Yeah.
they're like
It's like
the
a meme.
they're like the eggplant emoji.
Emoji, right? Yeah.
Like that's exactly what they're supposed to be. That's why they make them. That's why they're funny.
Right.
And I was like, we don't do a lot edgy, but we have some greeting cards in our stores that say happy fucking birthday. So that's like our edginess. And I was like, let's get these eggplants. People will love them. Ordered them, didn't talk to anyone, sent them to all the stores. Well, it became a deal. A store manager reached out and was like, the ladies in the store are very uncomfortable with this product.
Let me see a picture,
Um,
Mimi.
Eggplant emoji. Hold on.
I'm
Better
trying
yet,
to-
does he understand what an eggplant emoji means, Joel?
No.
So
It's
I'm
a
trying to
penis. When you send somebody an eggplant
I'll show you.
emoji, you're sending them your penis. It's very phallical.
An eggplant?
An eggplant.
I don't know what yours looks like, but mine don't look
Oh
anything like
shit!
it.
Oh shit! Look at this. Hold on.
That's a
Oh,
fucking
that is
eggplant.
great.
Oh, I could see it there.
That
Okay.
is-
I wasn't
So
expecting
great.
it that big, which is funnier. You got like
With the smile,
Yeah,
it's
a
got the
shit-eating
side
grin on
eye
there.
smile.
No, it's
I
got
love
it's got a
that.
smirk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mimi,
totally
get
got
on
the
his
smirk.
website.
might as well
Order
be.
me
It should be
one.
winking, right? Like bing.
Yes.
you can't tell me that those wouldn't be a hit in a flower shop, but what I did not think about is the staff. And they were just like, we know what it means. It's going to invite uncomfortable conversations with customers. And they were, even in the day they were in the store, there was an old lady who got ready to buy one for her 8-year-old grandchild. And then the person working was like, should I tell her what? I just didn't think it through.
man.
And I pride myself on not doing that very often. So I reached out to Lori and I was like, here's what happened. Like, tell me I'm not Harvey Weinstein. And she basically was like, no, you're not Harvey Weinstein. But what I had done was she affirmed was a good thing. And I immediately told all the managers, send them back to ACDC. That was a misfire. It's more important to me to listen to my staff. And if you're not comfortable, that's all I need to know.
That's funny.
You can
So anyway, I gave out my email address already. If you want a really good deal on about 48 plush eggplants, email me and I'll ship them to you.
we'll use them for
Just put them
Father's
all in
Day.
one big bouquet.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
do it all
Wow.
one big bouquet.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not on your site because Mike wants me to buy him one, but
I'll ship you. Y'all could probably move them for me. I should just ship them.
No, we're gonna put them. You see in the back behind him with the puppets on the wall. We're gonna put them right up there.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that. I
Yeah,
love
we
that.
need one of those.
Definitely. My God, that is great.
Sign
Great
the
vibe.
shaft before you send.
Great
it.
idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. Just saying. But I understand. You definitely got to listen to your staff.
What if you ordered some other vegetables and put them together?
Like it has to be with the
Like,
broccoli.
or maybe some
Get the
fruits.
peach.
You could get like
Yeah.
a
No,
peach
no,
and papaya.
no.
You
Get
could
a banana.
papaya.
Get a corn.
You know the funny
Or a
part,
set of cherries. A
the
set of
funny part
cherries.
is
Yeah.
the two oldest people here. So Brad's mom, who's in her 80s, did not know what it meant, and I explained to her exactly what it meant, and she loved it even more after that. Like she thought it
I
was
agree.
hilarious. So
Yeah. Gotta get the
The
set now.
peaches and the cherry. The cherries.
Send
You
a
get set
basket of all those fruit
Yeah.
plushes.
fruit
Yeah.
basket. That's a great
A
idea.
plush
That's a
fruit
great idea.
basket. You could build on those eggplants.
That's so funny.
The meme basket.
I'll send you
my.
one for sure.
I got to tell you, you learn something new every day. I had no idea.
Oh my!
I will
funny.
be using that emoji now.
I just showed him
Please
the
don't.
peach,
Please
and I
don't
told
send that
him.
in
Please
the
don't
chat.
send that to your family. Oh my god!
When he gets a floner, now you're
Yeah,
gonna send
that's
that.
hilarious.
Yeah. I don't even know how to sign us off at
All right.
this point.
Good stuff, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Two Fat Guys Talking Flowers, where we're always going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly about flowers. Joel, Ryan, Mimi, myself, Mike, Sam, our awesome, amazing guests. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.
That's what she said.